Welcome, everyone, to First Things First. We are down here in Miami Beach all week as we get ready for Super Bowl 54. I cannot imagine a better backdrop for us to sit back and talk football. I mean, the sun is not even up yet, but we've got a fantastic crowd to welcome you in. Thank you to all of you guys.
We got more jerseys today than we had the first 2 days combined. We got some hoops jerseys, a bunch of football jerseys.
Good
great
representation.
Crowd. That was here early. And it's a little chilly this morning, Miami.
It is chilly.
It's great folks that came out today.
I'm going to tell the fine folks who we all are if you don't know. I'm Jenna Wolfe. This right here is Nick Wright. We are hanging out with former Pro Bowl corner Brandon Flowers this morning. To my left, three-time Super Bowl champ coach Eric Mangini. What? You are so happy this morning.
You got my name right.
Okay, in the rehearsals, I may have forgotten your name.
It meant a lot to me.
Never happened before. We have an incredible guest list joining us today. Among others, Gardner Minshew will be here. Cam Jordan, Jarvis Landry, Michael Vick. We have so much to talk about, so much to get to. So glad you guys are joining us. So glad these guys are joining us. Let us start by diving right in with Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs' all-everything quarterback has basically put his team on his back on the road to Miami. If Mahomes does indeed win the Super Bowl at 24 years and 138 days old, he would be the second youngest starting quarterback behind Ben Roethlisberger to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. When asked about seizing this moment, Mahomes knew exactly what to say.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I hope I have a lot of times. And so it's you take in the moment, but you're always focused. You understand that the reason you're here is to play football and to win a football game. And we understand that. But, I mean, if you watch this team, we have fun doing it no matter where we're playing at. And so it's a great opportunity that I'm having early in my career. And I'm excited just to go out there with my brothers and try to win.
Nick, you've been following Patrick Mahomes' career since the Chiefs grabbed him, and he's been so successful ever since. What do you think is on the line for Patrick Mahomes this Sunday?
Well, I love the quote. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I hope to have a lot of times, and that is spot on. Dan Marino got there in year 2. I'm sure he knew it was once in a lifetime, but thought he'd have a bunch more, and he didn't. Aaron Rodgers got there his third year as a starter, has never been back. So I anticipate, I think a lot of people anticipate Patrick will be on the stage a lot of times, but it's not guaranteed. You have to treat it like that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But if they win Sunday, he joins Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the greatest opening 2 years of a career in sports history. That's what happens if they win Sunday. Like Brady's first 2 years, they win a Super Bowl his first year as a starter. The next year, they miss the playoffs. Russell Wilson make the playoffs both years, win the Super Bowl in year 2. But his level of play, he wasn't an MVP caliber player yet. Jim Brown, his first 2 years in the pros, won a league MVP, got to an NFL championship game and they lost. Won a league MVP, got to the playoffs and they lost. He was instantly the best player in the sport. Kareem walked into the NBA as an All-NBA player, as the best player in the league, and by year 2, champion, league MVP, finals MVP. If they win the title this year, Coach, his open to his career, league MVP first year as a starter in the Final Four, and then a Super Bowl championship as a quarterback, you can put the beginning of his career up against any athlete, any sport in American sports history.
Yeah, and as we've talked about Mahomes, and I know you were in on Mahomes early, as we've talked through I'm definitely on the side of we need to take it slow. We need to see how he evolves. We need to see how he performs in these big moments. And this is the next big moment that we need to see him in. And with Dan Marino at that point, he had an unbelievable second season, and he had an unbelievable playoff run until the Super Bowl, and then the 49ers beat him down in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Patrick responds. What I've really liked about Patrick, as I've watched him more and more, is the things that he says, is the way that he talks about work ethic, the way that he talks about being humble, the way that he gives credit to the people around him. To me, those traits are things that not only your teammates can get behind and believe in, but it's going to serve you well as you keep getting this success. And to me, it's a trademark of the greatness of Tom Brady.
I definitely agree with you, Coach. And what's on the line for Patrick Mahomes also here is his legacy. as you mentioned, Nick, quarterbacks, when they get these rings under their belt, that's what they're measured at when it comes to, at the end of the day, are they the GOAT? Are they the greatest? When Rodgers won his first Super Bowl, we wasn't comparing him as the greatest at that time in the NFL. We compared him as the greatest ever because we thought he was going to get there 3 and 4 times. If Patrick Mahomes can get a Super Bowl this early, it will staple him, like you said, in that Hall of Fame discussion, because if he just get 2 rings, I think his numbers will be eventually better than Eli's. It'll be up there with Ben Roethlisberger's just because the marriage with him and Andy Reid. Andy Reid's going to always keep weapons around him. So getting a Super Bowl early is going to matter going later in his career when he try to stockpile Super Bowls.
Oh, Brandon, I think you can go maybe even a step further. You mentioned the Hall of Fame. If they win Sunday, it would take a sports catastrophe for him to not be a Hall of Famer. If you win a league MVP and you're a quarterback for a Super Bowl winning team, Joe Theismann did that. He's the only one who checks those boxes who's not in the Hall of Fame. Joe Theismann, with respect to Joe, who I like a lot, did not have near the talent or the supporting cast Patrick Mahomes does. If they win the championship this year, the only thing that would stop him from being a Hall of Famer is a shortened career, something out of that we can't anticipate happening. And I know you did give me a hard time, and you continue to give me a hard time saying I was in on Patrick Mahomes early, but that I was in by his 4th game of his career. I was saying, oh, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, which I wasn't. But I am saying it now, right? I am saying right now that if they win Sunday, he is going to be a Hall of Famer because he's checked the boxes you need to check. The rest are just playing out, see how high up the mountain he can go.
It's funny because we're so quick to predict years down the road.
Yep.
And to me, that's one of the biggest traps in sports is there's this assumption that you get to start where you left off. And that's what kills teams after they have success. You have to do all the things that you did well better each year after that because everybody's studying you, everybody's chasing you, the motivations change, team dynamics change, and it's a hard lesson to learn. Like I said, I enjoy the way he's approached things, and it seems like he's wired the right way, but with all that fame and $200 million, it can have different effects on people.
But I'm just curious, if he plays well and doesn't win, where do you place Patrick Mahomes at that point? He still had the same trajectory to the start of his career.
Listen, he's still the best player in football, but then all of a sudden, and this is why these little, and Jenna, you and I have talked about this.
Lamar was the best player in football.
You keep saying that. I never once said that, Coach. I said he had the best.
Weeks and weeks.
No,
like you said that.
It's not true. You keep saying that. It's not accurate. I said he had the best season. I was fair to Lamar.
He's the best player that's not playing in the Super Bowl.
No, he had the best season, but no one. I've never wavered. From week 4 of last year, it was very obvious who the most talented player in the NFL was. And by the way, since that Niners game last year when Jimmy Garoppolo unfortunately got his knee blown out, it was very clear who the best player in the NFL was. But to Jenna's point, if they don't win, then you're like, okay, you had home field advantage last year, you lose to Brady. This year you're a favorite, even though it's just the slightest of favorites, you lose to Jimmy Garoppolo. Then the narrative starts to turn a different way. That's how sports are, especially in the NFL with 1-game samples. No matter your talent, if you can have the season Lamar had and have your worst game of the year at the worst possible time, and the narrative turns on you entirely. So I don't think it would flip on Patrick entirely, but it'd be going down a different track.
All right, let's take a little break and go viral. Later in the show, we're going to have Jags rookie quarterback Gardner Minshew here, which will give us ample time to talk about his latest Instagram post. Minshew posted this throwback picture of him and his now famous mustache when he played at East Carolina. And lucky for you, the stash is on sale. Gardner Minshew is trying to sell clippings from his mustache.
Oh my God!
From back in 2017. That is awesome.
Why do you keep that?
Wait, hold on. It's for the bargain basement price of $1 million.
Listen.
Can we get that tested, though? How do we know that's authentically from 2000?
You know what? We do. And I would turn to my right for a man, I guess both edges of the table, we have men with 7 figures in the bank. Can you two combine to help Jenna out? You would like it. I don't know that you. I
love the man. I don't necessarily love the hair that comes off the man.
I think they could do like a buy it now price. You can put a few racks on it for help Jenna out.
You guys want to go halvesies? Halvesies?
I'll leave that to Nick. But you know, guys do that more than often. You know, guys cut their dreads and keep them. Guys cut their stashes and their beard and keep them.
Do they sell them?
Wait, where do you keep them? Do you have like a mustache closet, like a hair safe? Like, where do you keep that stuff?
I mean, you can always sew your hair back in. If you got short dreadlocks like I do now, if you keep them, you can sew them in, make them back long, and you have your hair do overnight.
Maybe Gardner Minshew wants to re-sew that hair back onto his own face. Well, we'll ask him. We talk about physical fitness a lot, but there's another side to the game that's just as important. I'm talking about mental fitness. Calm, the #1 app for sleep and meditation, has now teamed up with LeBron James to help you train your mind. LeBron and Calm know that your mind is like any other muscle in your body, and Calm can help you train your brain so you sleep better, so you have less stress, so you perform at your best. For LeBron James, sleep is an important part of his mental fitness routine. He says, getting good sleep and finding time to rest is one of the most valuable things I can do for my body and mind. And if you head to calm.com/sports40, you'll get 40% off a Calm Premium membership. With Calm, you have access to the nature scenes LeBron loves and so much more, like sleep stories and meditations. For a limited time, our listeners can join LeBron in using Calm with a 40% discount to an annual membership at calm.com/sports40. Unlock content to help you focus, ease stress, and sleep better. Get started at calm.com/sports40. That's calm.com/sports40. All right, guys, we're going to play a game. We're calling it Take Your Pick.
Okay.
Pretty self-explanatory. Kyle Shanahan is already being labeled as one of the best coaches in the league, but Kyle's record without his star quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, is just 4-20.
Oh, that's interesting.
So who is more responsible for the Niners' success, Shanahan or Jimmy G? Coach, we'll start with you. Take your pick.
Yeah, this isn't even close. It's definitely Shanahan. Shanahan came in, and he had to handpick his GM, and as much as John learned as a player, it's hard to transition into that role. So obviously, Kyle was responsible for those decisions and personnel, and he orchestrated the trade for Jimmy G. So it's all Kyle.
I'm going Kyle Shanahan also. He does so much for this offense. The way he schemes his players to get open. The way he asks Jimmy G not to do too much. And when they brought Deebo Samuels in, everybody wondered if he can be a valuable asset on the offense. And they say he's more of a running back than a receiver. But Kyle Shanahan gets him the ball quick. And he does well with his personnel to make it work for their offense. So I agree.
It's going to be a clean sweep for Shanahan. I believe Shanahan, we have the two best offensive minds in football coaching in this Super Bowl, Shanahan and Reed. I was skeptical somewhat of Shanahan early in his career because, to be totally honest, I'm always skeptical of someone who I feel like, did they maybe skip a few steps because of who they're related to? But just because you got your foot in the door through a family relationship doesn't mean once you're in there, you won't be extraordinary. He's brilliant. I think he is a brilliant offensive mind and has proven to be an extraordinary head coach. That record without Jimmy G is jarring, though.
Yes,
the 4-20. But 1 year they're rebuilding.
You're also just so happy they took Solomon Thomas instead of Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I'm so happy.
I'm really happy that they made that decision.
Jags took Leonard Fournette. There's a lot of people saying Bears, Mitch Trubisky. And we got this guy.
All right, moving on. All right, the 49ers are coming off 285 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game, while Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense has been virtually unstoppable. So who is more likely to determine the outcome of Super Bowl 54? The Niners' run game or the Chiefs' passing attack? Coach, take your pick.
This again is absolutely the Chiefs' passing attack. That's what they have. That's what they do. That's their only opportunity to win this game is through the passing game. And I know that we talked about against Tennessee how frustrated you were when they actually ran the ball a little bit. That's because they're so effective in the other area. And San Francisco runs the ball really well, but I think they can be effective passing the ball as well.
I think the Chiefs going to come in with that passing attack. They do it every week. But I think, for me, the run game is going to be the key to determine this game for the 49ers because that's what's going to keep Pat Mahomes off the field. If Pat Mahomes is on this field, I know the 49ers have the top-ranked pass defense, but I don't think there's no stopping this Chiefs offense. So this run game is going to have to keep Patrick Mahomes on the bench, sustain drives, keep the chains moving, and put up points for the 49ers.
I totally get what you're saying, but I'm with Coach in this regard because even though I don't anticipate it from Jimmy Garoppolo, he has shown the ability in select moments to move the ball at an elite level through the air to put up big points. So the Niners have a counterpunch if the first punch is being parried away. The Chiefs do not. Travis Kelce told you before the year, when you think we're going to pass, we're going to pass. When you think we're going to run, we're going to pass, and then we're going to pass some more. They are as pass-happy of a team in the Super Bowl that we've seen in a number of years. That is their path to victory, so I think it's the Chiefs passing it.
All right, we saved the most important one for next. The Niners faithful will most certainly be bragging about their seafood all week long, while Chiefs fans will boast they've got the best barbecue in the world. Serious now, who does have the best hometown delicacy? San Francisco seafood or KC barbecue? Coach, take your pick.
This is easy for me as well. I'm going straight barbecue. I enjoy seafood, as you can imagine. I enjoy a lot of food, but the comfort and the satisfaction of barbecue to me is second to none.
I'm going
Brandon.
KC barbecue as well. Lived there for 6 years. Every different barbecue place in Kansas City has its own unique taste. Even the gas station has great barbecue there. So I got to go with
barbecue at a gas station.
The best barbecue you'll ever taste.
One of the most famous barbecue restaurants in America was actually in a gas station. It's called Oklahoma Joe's. Now it's called Kansas City. Now it's called Joe's KC. And listen,
did they finally open up a storefront that was a restaurant?
Yeah, they did. You can listen. I don't know the way your bougie lifestyle is, Coach. You can't eat good food out of the gas station.
Get my gas
no, it's fine. It's convenient. Listen, we're simple
Who
folk
doesn't
in
do
Kansas
that?
City. It's fine. Listen, if you go to Kansas City, here's what you need to do. You go down to 18th and Vine, you stop by the Negro League Baseball Museum. You go 2 blocks to the east. You're going to go to Arthur Bryant's. Arthur Bryant's, when you go there, you'll see a picture of 6 of the last 7 U.S. presidents who've been there. You're going to get, it's just going to be meat on a tray. There's not going to be anything else. It's just meat on a tray. Half burnt ends, and I'd go half pulled pork. That's what I would do. Then maybe take a nap. Then you go to Gates, and when you walk into Gates, they're going to, no, it's cornbread. It just fills, it's space that could be used on barbecue.
Rookie.
Yeah, rookie mistake. Then you go to Gates. When you go to Gates, they're going to be a little aggressive. You're going to walk in, and they're going to scream at you, "Hi, may I help you?" And you better have your order ready. If not, you get to the back of the line. Then you go take another nap. Then for dinner, Jack Stack. Now we're talking, it's white tablecloth, white linens. It's a little more pricey. Some of the greatest sides you'll ever have in your life. The baked beans, the corn. Oh my God. That's what you do. San Francisco. I can get seafood. I can literally walk into the ocean and find seafood. Can't walk into the ocean and get a pulled pork sandwich.
No, but you can go to a gas station. You can enter the gas station and get a pulled pork.
I got heartburn listening to you talk about that.
Good.
The answer is easy. Go to San Francisco, eat seafood. Finish. It took like 8 words to give you the right answer.
TurboTax is here to help this tax season by making tax filing easier for you. They've made it their mission to give you all the tools and advice you need to get your taxes done with confidence, like making uploading your W-2 as easy as taking a picture. Just use your phone or tablet to simply snap a picture of your W-2, then watch your information appear in the right place in your tax return. You can be sure you're filing your taxes correctly while at the same time making sure you're getting the best possible refund. TurboTax. All people are tax people.
All right, time for some stories to start your morning. Tom Brady's future is up in the air, but one former teammate has some advice. Rob Gronkowski says Brady should test the market and do what's best for him. Nick, what do you think of that advice?
I think it's spot on advice. I think it's exactly what he's going to do. I actually think everyone believes he's going to test the market to a degree, but will it be a bluff or is it something he's actually considering leaving New England? I think he's actually considering leaving New England. I think he ultimately actually will leave New England.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to Gronk for business advice, but I appreciate him chiming in on it. I think the best spot for Tom to be successful is staying in New England where he doesn't have the learning curve and things are in place for them to make another run.
All right, moving on. Another free agent quarterback, Dak Prescott, still doesn't have a deal, but he says he's confident he'll get a long-term contract done with the Cowboys. Brandon, would Dallas be making a mistake, making Dak the highest-paid player in the league?
I think they'll be making a mistake, making him the highest paid in the league, highest paid player in the league, but I think he should definitely get a deal done. I think Dak is more than capable of leading the Cowboys in the postseason into a run, but making him the highest paid, I think they have more roster holes that they can pay that money to the players they have on the roster now.
If I were Dak, I'd be confident I'm getting a deal done, Coach, because Steven and Jerry Jones keep talking like they are certain they're going to get a deal done at almost no matter the cost.
Yeah, a deal is going to get done. Whatever the number is, it's going to be market value. I'm just excited to see the dynamic of working with Aaron Rodgers and then working with Dak Prescott and seeing how that compares.
That's interesting. All right, moving on. Jimmy Garoppolo has taken some criticism for his less than stellar playoff numbers thus far. The Niners haven't had to lean on him much. However, his head coach, Kyle Shanahan, believes in his quarterback and came to his defense yesterday.
When we've needed him to bring us back at the end of games, he's done it. I've never been a part of a game where a quarterback completes 2 3rd and 16s on a final drive to beat the Rams like he did. What he did in that first Arizona game, I think it was a 3rd and 16 also to get us back on the last drive. The second Arizona game, throwing to get back in that game. I mean, people just got to watch the whole season and they'll realize that that's not at all the case.
Nick, what do you make of what Kyle Shanahan had to say?
I respect and I appreciate what he's trying to do, which is build up his quarterback's confidence, especially after in these 2 playoff games, the keys have been taken out of his hand. In the Vikings game, it was after the interception. In the Packers game, I don't really blame Jimmy G for what happened in the Packers game as far as him not throwing passes. They were so successful running the ball, you almost felt like, why would you throw passes? But I still think as a player, you're not involved. They think we're going to be more successful doing something without me than with me. So I get what Kyle Shanahan's doing, but I think it's a little misleading. I mean, yeah, he did absolutely in that Rams game complete 2 3rd and 16s on the final drive to lead them back. They needed those because he had thrown 2 interceptions on earlier drives. This year, 7 times, he has thrown 30 or more passes in a football game, about half of their regular season games. The 2 against the Cardinals, he was exceptional. The game we always talk about against the Saints, where he was exceptional. And all the other games, it's like, oh, this is why that's not what they want to do. Because he will turn the ball over. He will not complete passes at a high percentage in those circumstances. So I think Kyle Shanahan knows that, Brandon, there's a high likelihood that they are going to have to score some points through the passing game to win this Super Bowl. So he is trying to build up the confidence of his quarterback. But I also think Kyle Shanahan is apprehensive and anxious about those moments because of Jimmy's propensity to, his coach says, be a make-it-happen quarterback, and sometimes that's making it happen for the opposition.
Yeah, Jimmy G is more than capable. And what Shanahan has been doing in his playoffs is running the football because that's what works. Jimmy G can definitely come out in this Super Bowl and possibly be a Super Bowl MVP because he just have that playing ability at times. He just buys in. He's a great quarterback for the 49ers because everybody on this 49ers roster buys into what Shanahan is trying to build and trying to do. Some quarterbacks take the selfish route and want to throw the ball more. Jimmy G, he grew up under Brady. So he's like, hey, we have to run the ball this game, that's what we'll do. If I have to come out and throw the ball 40 times, I will prepare myself to do so. So Brady mentoring Jimmy G in New England, Jimmy G just seeing how you just take what the defense gives you, I think that's going to help him for the Super Bowl.
But, Coach, when you have a quarterback who has a propensity for turning the ball over, as a head coach, do you want to take the ball out of his hands and obviously be more run heavy? Doesn't that in and of itself take confidence out of your quarterback?
Well, look, you want to manage the game as much as possible, and there's times where if you know a player has a weakness and you put that player in that position and it happens, you can't be mad at that player. And I think you saw last game that Kyle did a really good job of running the ball and staying with the running game, where I'm sure in his heart of hearts he wanted to throw the ball more. Now, when you only pass the ball 8 times, that's a little bit of an indictment on the quarterback. As much as I admire his consistency, it is a little bit of an indictment on the quarterback. When we talk about 3rd and 16s, it's like talking about the Chiefs coming back from 24 points down.
You don't want to be in that
bad.
spot. Yeah.
Why are you in 2 3rd and 16s? What happened to get you in those 2 and 3rd and 16s? And it's great that you overcame it, but you've got to put it all in a context.
If Jimmy Garoppolo plays great, if Jimmy Garoppolo is great, the Niners win the Super Bowl.
But what is great? Is great just not turning the ball over?
Isn't he going to have to be greater than the greatest player that's ever played in the history of the Super Bowl?
I don't think he will, because the Niners have so many structural advantages. They have the better defense at each and every level. They have the better running game. I think the Chiefs have a good offensive line.
They don't have Superman.
Correct. Agreed. Which is why, how big is the gap between Superman and Jimmy Garoppolo? If Jimmy Garoppolo can make it even just this wide instead of this wide, they win the game. But my skepticism for Jimmy Garoppolo is based in the pure fact that he is in as great of a situation as any quarterback can be in. As far as if you watch these Niner games, early in games, it sure seems like Kyle Shanahan is drawing up plays to get easy early completions, to get him in a rhythm early. They are usually playing from ahead where the team has to dedicate more people to stop the run. They have an elite running game, as all these Shanahan, whether it's Mike or Kyle, the zone blocking schemes do. All these things, you have this amazing play caller, and he's okay. He's fine. Now, I know, Coach, I could see the wheels turning, saying, well, Patrick Mahomes has all these systemic advantages. Correct. And through the first
He's
30...
got two unbelievable offensive weapons.
Absolutely.
But somehow, you keep coming back to... I don't know if he can do it.
No.
He's the greatest player in the history of the NFL.
Let me finish. Hold on.
But I don't know whether or not he can win this game because San Francisco has so many structural advantages outside of the two other potential Hall of Fame players that Kansas City has on offense.
That's right. But if you do have those type of structural advantages, if you're great, you know what you're supposed to do? Put up record-breaking numbers. And that's what Patrick Mahomes has done. Jimmy Garoppolo has similar structural advantages, not as far as wide receivers on the outside, but the way the team's built, his tight end, his offensive line, his running game, and he puts up good numbers. So when you say he can be Super Bowl MVP, I don't think it's impossible, but I think if they have a game plan where they're asking him to do that, he might be the MVP for the Chiefs, throwing a couple picks going the other direction.
I just think Jimmy Garoppolo, nobody's counting on him or Kittles to be involved, but just because how the playoffs has turned out for the 49ers. Just like the Tennessee Titans, everybody felt like they went through Henry, and that's the only reason Tennessee Titans can win. Everybody's thinking the San Francisco 49ers have to run the ball. That is not the case. That's just been what worked for them. So Jimmy G can get going. If he throws 2 touchdowns to the Kittles and he's keeping the chains moving, not turning the ball over, that can get you a Super Bowl MVP if you're spreading the ball around and you win the game. That's why I say it can be Super Bowl MVP.
All right, before we hit the break, we want to go viral one more time. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're in the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years, which prompted Kansas City's play-by-play announcer to ask the hard-hitting questions on opening night.
Welcome to all of this, and all of this is crazy. Tom, ready, guy?
Yeah.
Tano Passanio, right? Can you spell Passanio?
K-P-A-S-S-G-N-O-N. The sneaky A.
If you had to wrestle tonight up here, who would you have to pick? Who would you pick to wrestle?
I'd pick Derek Nottie. I would whoop his tail, bro. And you could tell him I said it. I'll tell him to his face.
Ooh, what's that? Now, I got to ask. Here we go. So this is a man full of jet fuel. Is it true that you asked him to drop you down from the ceiling instead of walking up the ramp?
I did.
At least 5 people I noticed came up to you and mistook you for Travis Kelce. How did you handle that?
I just play it off. I tell him I'm Travis.
I saw at least 5 people tonight mistake you for Patrick Mahomes. What is that?
That's true. That's true. I think it's the flow in my hair.
Make no mistake, the Chiefs are focused. Don't let all of this throw you off, because this night is about being crazy.
I'm so happy for Mitch Holthus. That's who that was. He has been the Chiefs. You know Mitch?
Great guy.
A great guy. And loves the team. And by the way, I just stepped in the shoes. The guy who previously had the job was Kevin Harlan, who's an all-time great announcer. Mitch has done a great job and lives and dies with the team. When Brandon was there, when I was living there, I'm so happy for him.
And it's great. This week is all about who can ask the most creative questions, who can have the most fun with these guys, or just who can just get
Coach
these guys to open up the mouth. I was just going to say, right on brand with Coach right here.
In that evening, in that moment, it's perfect, and it was so nice to see the appreciation he had of the moment.
Of
and
course.
He's been suffering for 50 years, so it's great.
I knew it. Back here, first things first, live from Miami Beach. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning here in Miami. We have a great lineup coming up for you later today. Carson Palmer, Cam Jordan, Michael Vick, Jarvis Landry is stopping by, but look who's joining us right now.
What up, man? Good to see you.
After a full season of entertainment, both on and off the field, Jags quarterback Gardner Minshew is with us. Gardner, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm just going to take over for a second. I've been a huge fan. I just wrote down a quick list of all the things that you and I have in common. We both wear headbands. I do sometimes. You're wearing shorts right now. The audience can't see, but my God, you showed up as perfectly as I wish I could. We have the same hair length, which people don't realize. You rode in a fighter jet. I was with the Blue Angels. Yeah.
You were in the Thunderbirds. By the way, can we start there?
Yeah.
She says that's hard. You just sit there.
No.
I almost vomited on myself.
I passed
16
out.
times.
You passed out?
I passed out. I call myself a pro athlete and I passed out. That was too much for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gardner.
The G-forces, man. It's like
It's a big win for
9 times your body weight on you. It's not.
Would you do it again?
It's not a joke. No, I did it once.
But would you do it again?
No, that's what I'm saying. I got my fill. It took a toll.
By the way, I feel like we have a few people that came here just for you. We got a couple Washington State Cougars alums, it looks like. And right here, can we get my man right here? Can you grade it? Can you stand up? Do you mind? I'm sorry to put you on national television. You didn't ask me. Can you grade his mustache?
Oh, man, you got to take this down a little bit. But other than that, yeah, you're off to a good start, for sure.
You like it?
Yeah, he's off to a great start. No doubt.
The point is, you just had so much fun this season. You had so much fun on the field, but you had so much fun off, and I think that's what
the
really
point is about the mustache. I want to know more about the mustache.
Wait a second. Could you grade Nick's mustache?
No. Well, it's hiding. Just like mine, it's hiding right now. It's not a mustache unless it's standalone.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, that's a good point.
Hold on. You guys, come on. We know what we need to talk about right now. He had a great year. You won Johnny Unitas Award. Everyone should have known you could have had a great year. We can do that later. Talk about the important things. 3 years ago, you shaved your mustache, and you're like, I'm going to be a super famous guy one day, so I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag and hold on to it. So, what made you keep your shaved mustache 3 years ago, Gardner?
Yeah.
Answer the question.
That one was probably a little more personal to me. I think it's because I loved it so much, and I didn't want to see it go.
Why'd you shave it then?
It needed to go at that point. It wasn't ready. It wasn't ready, so I needed to shave it. I shaved into a bag, and saved it. And
all right, let's assume you're not going to get the $1 million. Okay, I'm not saying you're not, but let's just assume you're not. What's the least amount of money you would accept for that? What's the buy it now price?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting these 7-figure offers coming in right now. So
as expected.
I'm not talking about anything less.
Okay.
So right. I know what I have.
Okay. How's the RV tour going?
Oh, it was awesome, man. So it's done now. Went all the way out, saw the West Coast, came all the way back. Yeah, no, it was. Went all the way out and back in about 2 weeks, so it was
What's
quick.
the hardest thing about living life in an RV that maybe was unexpected for you?
So we made a rule. It was me and a few of my buddies. We made a rule. The first person to use the bathroom would have to empty it out. So we just ended up not using the bathroom the whole time. So that was pretty inconvenient.
Just pull it over.
We showered at a few Planet Fitnesses. That was good.
Ate at a couple of gas stations in Kansas City, I'm sure, Nick.
Yeah, dude, definitely at the gas.
What was your favorite stop?
Either Vegas or Telluride, Colorado.
Very different
for
places.
very different reasons, but both were really good time. Met a lot of good people.
What's it like being newly famous Gardner Minshew and you stop by in Vegas?
Oh, I got a beard now. Like nobody knows who I am. Like if they see the stash, there's like, oh, who's that other guy with the stash? Oh, that's him. But I don't have a stash now, so now I'm just like your average, like extremely handsome guy just walking around.
See, I've been trying to tell Nick that all season long. He said, tell him if you ever see him in person.
Jenna is legitimately, you'll talk to a lot of people at Super Bowl week and they'll tell you, like I did, how impressed they were with you and root for you. And it's all true to a degree. Usually it's kind of just buttering people up. You were Jenna's favorite player in the league this year. You had a bit of like a cult following. When did you feel that coming?
I don't know, if y'all would have been in Pullman, Washington last year, you'd have seen it was kind of the same thing, just on a smaller scale. So I guess I got ready for it in a town of about 30,000. And then, came to the NFL, and obviously, kind of everybody knows the NFL.
Were there things that you tried that worked and things that you tried that didn't? What am I talking about? I'm talking about the jorts, the short jean shorts. I saw you broke those out for a little while, then they went away. That would probably be my only knock on the aura of Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, it gets cold. You can't wear jorts when it's cold.
Can't wear jorts when it's cold.
Can't put the legs out when it's like that. I get a little ashy when it's cold, too. So, I think it's more of a summertime thing.
Coach, follow up after the jean shorts for me.
Well, I know with my experience with jorts, it gets a little bit, it does get a little bit
chilly.
Inconvenient and chilly at times. So I kind of move away from early fall. But
So you get it. You get it.
I do. And being another extremely handsome person walking around.
He gets it.
That people don't know. Like, I appreciate the struggle that you're going through now.
Who's your funniest teammate?
Funniest teammate? Josh Allen's probably the funniest looking. I don't know. Marcel Darius is pretty hilarious. So he's a funny guy.
What was this year like? On a semi-serious note, you can say whatever you want, but what was it like? You're obviously backing up Nick Foles, first game of the year. He's on a beautiful pass, by the way, touchdown pass against the Chiefs. Breaks his collarbone. You're thrown into the fire. By week 3, you're leading a comeback that falls, I think, 1 point short of 2-point conversion. Like, you are instantly in it. What was the whole year like for you?
Yeah, it was crazy. Coming in. I didn't even get a place there until after preseason because I didn't know if I was making the team, if they were doing, whatever. So, getting in, and then the first game, Nick goes down, and I'm crushed. I'm like, dude, Nick, that's my guy. Then I'm like, oh wait, that means I'm going.
You're like, wait a minute, now I'm the guy. I'm the guy.
So it was crazy. Had a lot of great people around me to help me. Guys on the offense, coaches. To get me ready for that.
There's always this idea of, well, if I ever get the chance, I'm going to do the following 4 things, or if I was in there, I'd be able to do it this way. When it was finally you, and there wasn't a big buildup because it was so unexpected, what was it like? What was the quick learning curve, and what did you look back on and say, oh, God, that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I mean, the first few games, I was just going in there. I knew I had to say the play super clearly in the huddle, because if not, Linder was going to rip me. So I had to be super clear for him, and then after that, I was like, okay, we're good now. I have to just call him the play. That was the biggest part.
Leonard, what do you mean Leonard would?
Brandon Linder, my center.
Okay, Linder.
He's he was kind of mean to me, man. But I needed that tough love to get me.
What was he doing?
Quarterback hazing?
What was he doing?
Yeah, no, just anytime he just gives you the stare, and just right into your soul. Tells you better get your crap right. That's basically this season was trying to not let those guys down. You got these older guys that are putting so much into it. I'm not going to be the one to mess that up.
Who was the best rookie quarterback in the 2019 season?
I don't know, man.
Hold on, maybe if I ask it, he'll answer differently. Who was the best rookie quarterback in 2019 season?
No, that's what I made that mistake of trying to compare, and that's not what I want to be. I want to be the best quarterback I can be for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kyler Murray doesn't play for the Jaguars. Daniel Jones doesn't play for the Jaguars. I play for the Jaguars, and that's all I can really concern myself.
What do you think of that,
Coach? Made Coach so happy.
I think that's a great answer. I think that's the answer that's going to be that's going to serve you well.
And that's what I wish I'd have been more humble in that situation.
That was a world of hurt, wasn't it, when you started comparing yourself like that?
Yeah, and that's what that just let my ego talk, and taking a step back from that, I was able to say, I'm wrong, and I need to fix on myself.
Follow up though. Who's the best looking rookie quarterback this past year?
I think rookie or otherwise, it has to be the guy in Jacksonville. I think it's consensus, right?
I mean, I think you have quotes from Jenna. Who's the best looking quarterback?
Probably the guy from Jacksonville.
Yeah, really? Your old friend Jimmy Garoppolo's going to be a little angry at you right now.
Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo's not sitting next to me right now.
That's a good point.
Woman of the moment. But you had a fun season?
Yeah, it was a blast.
You
Couldn't have
enjoyed
asked for anything better.
Of course, it was probably so unexpected, and probably just everything you wanted, but it came a lot sooner.
Absolutely.
So after the RV trip and all the different things in the offseason, how is this preparation going into next year going to be different for you?
Yeah, so I got a whole nother offense I need to learn. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to working with Coach Gruden. That's going to be a great experience. But I'm about to be starting Monday, down in Naples. I won't leave there. I'll be training for 2.5 months, getting ready, busting my tail to get ready to go.
Can I just real quick before we move on? I think it was unexpected, and Jenna mentioned it for a lot of us. But once you came onto the scene, my mistake for not watching enough Pac-12 football, I guess. I was like, man, you were unbelievable at Washington State. You had transferred. Your story is a little different. Was it as unexpected for you as it maybe was for the rest of us that you were able to do it at the level you were at immediately?
I don't know. All I ever said was just I need a chance. I didn't ask to be a first-round pick. I didn't ask to be thrown into a starting role. I just asked for a chance. And I knew, first thing I had to do, I had to get on the team. And if I was on the team, I'd get a chance. And, it came sooner than I expected. Sooner than any of us would have wanted. But I'm sure grateful for it, and I want to do the best with it.
Well, the Jaguars gave you a chance, and shortly thereafter, Snickers gave you a chance, a big chance. You're here with Snickers. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing here.
Yeah, so I got voted the Snickers Hungriest Player of the Year. Shout out to everybody that voted. That was really cool of y'all. And I actually got
Something
this.
comes with that.
Yeah, I got this chain right here.
Yeah. That is, by the way,
a legit Snickers chain.
When this voting was going on, we saw this. This is no, put it on, man. It's like a 4-pound chain.
Your hair is too
luxurious.
Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry.
Feathered and lethal. But yeah. So this chain they're gonna auction off next year. The proceeds will go to Movember cause, which I was pretty closely tied to, just focusing on men's health, mental health, cancer awareness, really good cause.
Can the person who wins the bidding on the chain get the mustache too? You throw it in?
Dude, if they could afford it, yeah. But that's a whole nother thing, you know.
Great job, man.
Gardner Minshew, you're so fun. Thank you so much. Enjoy your week down here.
Appreciate that.
Have a great time. Carson Palmer, who's here with us now, and Jennings is joining us as well. We got a nice little foursome going. Carson,
we got a great crowd. We even have we got a Bengals fan right there wearing the number 9 jersey. Great crowd today.
Carson, thanks for hanging with us. So all week we've been, as we getting ready for the Super Bowl matchup, we talk so much about the quarterbacks because that's usually what it comes down to. So I want to start a little bit with Patrick Mahomes. Is he really putting together the best playoff sort of early career you've seen so far?
We'll see. We'll see on Sunday. I mean, the first couple of games have been spectacular. 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's been on fire. So we'll see Sunday if he can finish off.
If Patrick Mahomes plays a good game, plays well, continues what he's doing, do you think the Niners, on the flip side, have enough firepower to keep up if it is a high-scoring game?
No, I don't. But I don't know if Patrick and the Chiefs can get off to the start they've gotten off to. That defensive line in San Francisco is ferocious. They've got a lot of speed on the back end. So I don't see a big high-scoring game.
But go ahead. I was going to follow up. I apologize. You mentioned you don't see a big high-scoring game. You think that's more because the Niners focus on just running the ball, grinding clock, or because the defensive front forces the Chiefs off the field quickly, or a combination of the two?
A combination of the two. That defensive front is spectacular. You're not going to see, Tyreek Hill running downfield wide open. He's not going to have that kind of time to create that kind of space. Patrick's going to be under pressure all day long with a 4-man rush, and they're going to double Kelsey. They're going to double somebody else on the outside. They can play defense like that with a 4-man rush.
So go ahead, Greg.
No, I was just going to ask, as a quarterback coming into this game, you understand what it looks like to get pressure. But when it comes from a 4-man rush, how does that play into your mind? Because it's like they don't even need to bring extra guys. They can get to me with just 4. What is it like being back there with knowing that?
It's no fun. It's no fun. When you have 4 guys, everybody can be doubled except for one guy. So as a quarterback, you got to find your one-on-one. You don't know who they're gonna leave one-on-one all game. They're gonna be doubling Kelsey, you would assume. They're gonna be doubling Tyreek, you would assume. So you got to find that one-on-one. It's a difficult thing to do as a quarterback. When you've got Bosa bearing down on you and you've got another guy bearing down on you, you've got to find that one-on-one. It's hard to do.
Carson, the last 2 games you've seen the Chiefs play, and you talk about them getting off to a quick start, and if they can do that, and you're not sure if they can or they haven't been the cleanest starts for them. They've sort of gotten in their own way by making mistakes, and I don't know if that's nerves, if that's maybe not fully prepared, if that's rushing things or pressing. Is there something that you really kind of have to try to instill in the team this week to make sure that in the biggest game under the brightest lights, you're going to have to be calm so you avoid the last 2 starts that you had?
Yeah, that slow start got them beat last year in the AFC Championship against New England. They didn't score in the first half, and it came back to bite them. So it's paramount. Andy Reid is preaching starting fast. It's not easy to do, but it's paramount for them to get off the board and get at least get some points on the board in the first and second quarter this week.
I want to revisit a bit of what Greg was discussing because I do think it's the single most important part of this game, where we have seen defensive teams, and the Niners, by the way, were the number 2 scoring offense in football, so they're not a defense-only team. But the 07 Patriots when they lost, the 2011 Patriots when they lost, the 01 Rams when they lost to the 2001 Patriots, the key was exactly what Greg was talking about, being able to get pressure on the quarterback without sending extra people. So from a quarterback perspective, I want to talk about almost the flip side of that. When teams have to blitz to get pressure on you, what does that open up for you? If they can't get there with 4 and now they've got to bring 5 and they have to occasionally bring 6, what does that open up for you as a quarterback? Because that might be what the Chiefs have to do on the other side of the ball, is if they want to get past this Niners offensive line to send extra people, what does that open up?
Well, what it does is it puts your worst defender one-on-one with somebody, which is going to create space offensively. So you always try to cover up your worst defender and not leave him one-on-one. But when you have to bring pressure and you have to bring another guy that the offensive line has to block, somebody's one-on-one. And as a quarterback, like I said, finding that one-on-one against their worst defender is going to be paramount.
And so with that, watching Jimmy G all year, some will say he's been kind of up and down. He's had some spurts to where he's had good games. I think he has what it takes. He's shown us against the Saints. What have you seen that gets him rattled? Because he's had moments where he will just throw the ball to the opponent. What have you noticed this year that gets him rattled and has those moments where he's...
You know, I really like the way he's actually played in some big moments. I think back when he played against my Arizona Cardinals in Arizona.
It's great in both
third down, he was spectacular. That Minnesota game early on. There were some times where I was wondering, does Jimmy G have it? Can he carry this team? Can he win a game with 2 minutes left or under 2 minutes left at the end of the game? I was actually really impressed with some of the plays he made, some of the moves he made within the pocket under pressure, throwing the ball off platform, off balance, and completing big balls on third downs to give his his team a chance to be the number 1 seed in the NFC.
But do you trust him to go out there and win the Super Bowl?
I do, because it's not all on him. He's got, like we talked about, that great defense. He's got a great running game. He's got Kyle Shanahan getting him easy completions. At the end of the day, when you're a quarterback, you want those easy completions. And you've seen that time and time again. When San Francisco plays, they dial up some play action stuff. They get Travis Kelce one-on-one on a corner out against a linebacker. They do such a good job of giving him opportunities to throw the ball two receivers in space, which is not easy to do in the NFL.
What would you say you were at the biggest schematic advantage offensively, as far as like maybe the sharpest offensive coaching at the Arizona portion of your career? Is that
yes.
Okay? As a quarterback, because we have I think maybe the 2 best offensive minds in football is coaching this game, and Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid. What type, when you say scheming guys open, get you easy completions, what does that really mean, and what's that process compared to when you're in an offense where that doesn't happen, and how much harder it is?
Well, it starts on Monday of that game week, typically in a regular season. You're going off of what your tendencies are. When you're in this formation, you are 70% run, 30% pass. So you go, as the game plan is built throughout the week, you're going off of your tendencies or your percentages. You're heavy run in this formation. You're heavy pass in this personnel group. So what Kyle Shanahan is doing is going against his tendencies. He may have been 80% run or 80% pass in a certain formation or package. He dials up some sort of counter to that. So that the defense is as the defense is huddling, going, okay, here's a run formation, here comes play action pass. So he does a great job of making something look like a run one week, and then the next week it's a play action pass with George Kittle run down the middle of the field.
One thing, not football related, not about this game. Your former team, the Cincinnati Bengals, is the number 1 overall pick. There's Joe Burrow. The odds are it's going to be Joe Burrow. Tua Tagovailoa is actually going to be joining us tomorrow. If I were the GM, which I'm of course not, he's the guy I would take. If you were the GM, what do you do at number 1?
I take Joe Burrow and I hand in the card as soon as the commissioner walks off the stage. It's done.
You loved what he did at LSU this year.
I think he's spectacular. I think he's got all the arm talent you want. He's more athletic than I think a lot of people think. When you saw some of the plays he made with his feet against SEC defenders who are NFL defenders eventually. So you've seen him play against NFL speed in the SEC. He dominated the SEC. He dominated the college football world. I'm not saying he's going to come in and dominate right away in the NFL, but I think he's absolutely a franchise quarterback.
All right, Carson, tell us about your partnership with FedEx.
Yes, we are announcing Saturday, right before the honor show, the NFL Air and Ground Players of the Year Award. I personally can see Lamar Jackson of Baltimore winning the Air Player of the Year award, and Derrick Henry put up a spectacular year on the ground. So we're announcing it. Fans can log on and vote on the NFL Twitter page. You can log on at NFL.com/FedEx. Voting closes tomorrow at 3, so get your votes in now.
And that running back race is going to be a tight one.
Yes.
Christian McCaffrey's got a good case. So many guys have a legit
Cook.
1,000%.
Nick Chubb. I mean, there's some guys that didn't get to the playoff stage, but what Derrick Henry did was pretty spectacular.
It was very special.
Carson, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Enjoy your week down here. We are back here, First Things First, live from beautiful Miami Beach. Miami is site of Super Bowl 54 this week. Another absolutely glorious morning here, just, a few yards from the beach. And we got a very special guest with us at the desk. Saints All-Pro DN Cam Jordan is with us. Good morning, Cam.
Good morning.
This is one of the nicest guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Listen, you're a mean
Sunday.
dude during the game, but you are. I've had you on a radio show a few times. I've had you on a television show. One of the smartest, most generous with his time, nicest people in the league this time of year. Maybe.
I don't know where you're at during my offseason. Could you come do this for me?
Oh, you just walk around, introduce you like that?
Well, I was going to say, I've never, in all those the post-football games that we've covered and watched, I've never seen anyone that actually enjoys answering questions, being real with the reporters. You love it. You sit at your locker and you legitimately seem to enjoy, whether you do or not, you enjoy the questions, you enjoy the time after the game.
It's a part of our life. At this point, you can't be a part of the NFL for 9 years. You can't be a part of college. You can't be a part of high school sports without having to field these questions. You can't be afraid to be who you are. At the end of the day, I am me. I am the product of my father, and I am the product of what my family has built. So I sit here proud of where I came from.
Well, you mentioned. Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
I know. I was just gonna jump right in. You're going into year 10. Woo! Woo! I mean, you've had.
Can I get a hot tub?
You've had a phenomenal run up to this point. Talk about just this season, last season, the last 3 seasons for you guys, and this window of opportunity that everyone feels like sometimes is so broad. But we know it as players. It just closes every single time, every year that we lose on that football field. Talk about that.
It probably hurts more and more. It's like being broken up with your girlfriend. Like your first girlfriend you had, you're devastated, and then the second girlfriend you had, you're hurt, and the third one you're just like, that's not the right one. That's not it. That's sort of what this last 3 years really feels like. It's like that first one, I was so hurt, I didn't even think about looking at football. It was just like, I have to, I hit this Pro Bowl, but I don't even want to talk about the game. Please don't bring up the game. I'm still bleeding from it. The second one was like, last year we were like, how do you lose the way we did? How does this happen? And you're sort of looking around, but it's like, we have the formula to bounce back. We know exactly what we have to do to be, one step closer. And then you talk about what happened this past year, and it's like, you're just sitting there, you're like, no, that makes sense. We know we're not going to get the calls that go our way, but at the same time, we also know that we can never let it get that close. So you're just sitting there like, you see the formula and you're like, we know exactly what we have to do. We can never make it a close game. You leave it a close game, then becomes, they've said it last year, they're trying not to say it this year. You can leave it at human error or whatever it is. We didn't do enough to come away with the win this past postseason.
Cam, that's the last 3 years for the team, and you're a consummate pro. You're the son of a pro, like you. And as Jenna mentioned, you're great at diplomatic but also honest answers. But for you individually,
the Jordan men do have 11 Pro Bowls. Continue.
11 Pro Bowls. Since 2013, guys with 10 plus sacks and 20 plus quarterback hits in a season. Only 2 guys have done it at least 5 seasons. Von Miller and Cam Jordan. Aaron Donald hadn't done it. J.J. Watt hadn't done it. You have over 30 sacks in the last 3 years. You had almost 16 this year. And I don't think you regularly in the media get brought up as one of the league's dominant pass rushers. Now, you all pro, I think smart people know it. Do you feel like you're underrated, and do you care?
I feel like I'm the best all-around, defensive end in the game. I'm not sure where this term edge rusher came from, but it includes a lot of skinny guys. Good for us. But when you talk about every down, first, second, third, and if it has to be fourth, I'm prepared to go to war every time. So I sort of emulate my game off of, the legends. You talk about Chris Dolman, you talk about John Randall, guys I grew up watching. So I've always looked beyond just what's on the table now. There's not too many defensive ends that's coming off the edge at 285 anymore.
Well, so you said something really important there, which is edge rusher, which is now, it's an all-pro designation. It's the hybrid, right? It's some 3-4 outside backers, it's some specialists. And for you've got to do all of it. You can't take the play off. How much pride do you take in that fact that while we don't really talk about defensive rushing stats, you are, if you look at the advanced numbers, one of the best run stuffers in the league, and you're averaging a sack a game over the last couple of years?
Yeah. When it comes down to it, honestly, in high school you play offense and defense and special teams. You don't even think about it. And college, they try and make you, a specialist or mold or conform to whatever their idea of your role is going to be. And in the league, they similarly try to do the same thing. I come in my rookie year and it's like, hey, we just want you first and second down. And you look at them like, no, but I'm like, I can do it all. And you have to earn that right. So second year in, I go for an 8-sack season, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, he can pass rush. Well, duh. Like, I'm here for first, second, and third down. There's nothing in me that says, I want to be available for every down, and I want to be put in the best position to use for my use, not only to better myself, but to put my team in a better position. So what way to do that than be there for every down? And all of those snaps are mine. Ask my coach. All those snaps are mine.
Cam, when you look at the last 3 seasons, as you've mentioned, they've all ended far more disappointing than you would have wanted to. But for the most part, minus a player or two, Mark Ingram here or there, you guys have rolled it back for the last couple of seasons, knowing that this is your time with your coach and the quarterback that you have. And so you can't help but think when you think of the Saints as Drew Brees and Drew Brees' team. Do you think we see Drew Brees back here next year?
I think we have a window of opportunity.
Such a diplomatic answer.
I feel like as we always have had Drew Brees, there's always been a chance for us to go into the postseason. With Drew Brees at helm, you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get 20-plus touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's something that's a winning formula. You can go for 30-plus touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Right.
You always know that there is a chance that at any given time, he can explode and create one of the most potent offenses in the game. And you see that week in, week out, until, let's call it this year, where you see Drew go down for what is arguably the first time since he got to New Orleans. Yep. And yet the team is, in a perfect form where we're able to overcome a lot of adversity. So I feel like we're in a great window, technically, with the players that we have, with guys that we have on our team, and with Drew at helm. Now, you say, what happens with Drew out there? I'm not there for the what ifs. I'll worry about that when the time comes.
You guys played this team that's representing the NFC in the Super Bowl in the 49ers, and you played them well, put up a lot of points. No other team this year did that. What did you see? What did you take advantage of? And then second question, Jimmy G was pretty good in that game. What did you see out of him that you could potentially give us some insight of what we might see on Sunday?
So you talk about what they're able to do. I mean, we put up points, but at the end of the day, they put up more points than us. We allowed more points to be scored than necessary. You talk about what George Kittle means to that offense. You talk about what their running back situation is, their committee. They have a lot of talent over there. But they're also, as good as they are on offense, they're even better on defense. And that's what you're going to see. I mean, as a defensive lineman, I'm always looking like, all right, so what's the defensive line looking at? And when you talk about, the Niners, you can't help but gush as a defensive lineman as you see 4 guys take, a pass rush and passer, or sometimes even like a 5th option here. You got, we talk about Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas, D Ford, and that's just the first rounders that have been there. You draft, young Bosa. So you've got 5 first rounders. That sounds great to me. You've got, Richard Sherman at corner. You talk about the opposite corner who probably has played beyond expectation this year. And then, of course, you talk about their linebacker core. Their defense is stacked, and I love it. And then you talk about, similarly to Kansas City, they've got a great, front. They've got a great front, and now you question, what's the difference between Niners defense and KC's defense, and you probably say secondary, maybe? So when you talk about what's going to happen, I can't help but think about the Niners, but at the same time, it's all about who's going to have a better defensive line. And I can't answer that yet.
Well, let me ask you this, though. We've been very kind to you. I think I do. I'm your new PR guy, so I need an honest question here. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't scare a defense, though. Yet. Correct?
He put up 40-something points on us, so I don't know if I have the right to talk about what he does.
How surprising was that, though, when you had watched film?
I mean, everybody was surprised. When you talk about exactly what we wanted to do to limit him, I feel like he had playmakers like George Kittle who showed up big time.
I'm sorry, I'm staring at your mustache. We just had Gardner Minshew on. You guys had a little mustache competition at the Pro Bowl?
No, I don't think so. No, not at all. No, he's got like a regular mustache. Like, you saw his, there's nothing special about it. I think Baker Mayfield did like three. Baker Mayfield did like 3 mustaches in a game. Yeah, that was impressive.
Is this impressive?
On a loss.
Woo! Look at that.
Checky,
there's
you got
nobody in the game that can flip
day?
this thing up. Like, this can flip up at any given time.
Oh, well, then do that. Why didn't you do that?
Because
you should have gone with that mustache, but this outfit. That outfit.
But see, nobody wants to walk around as like a baron all the time. So it's able to just flip down and look like a regular goatee. Hey, multifaceted.
Yes, it is. That was impressive. It looked like it was hanging off the skin a little bit.
Yeah.
I was unsure.
It's able to flip up when necessary. We turn up when we have to.
So Gardner's still here. You've got a bet. His
Does
mustache
he have a
doesn't
mustache
even
anymore? I just saw him, right? He walked past me and I was like, I thought he was gonna go surfing.
What?
I was just like, no doubt. I get it. Live your best life.
Getting nice and warm here. It was a little chilly this morning. And guess who we have right here with us? Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Good morning. Thanks for being. What were you doing? Were you riding like a scooter?
I was in Costa Rica in my first month and a half of freedom, essentially, and they offered me an ATV ride, and I took it. And in retrospect, it's probably one of the dumber things I've done.
Why?
ATVs are unsafe, man, especially if you have no experience on them. So I got to have my hour and a half of fun on there, and then I went back to tame Kyle, I guess.
I'm sorry, just so I'm clear. ATVs are unsafe, but you play football your whole life. Very safe.
Well, you kind of get used to it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be dumb enough to do it and smart enough to know how.
Which one are we talking about?
Football and ATVs, I guess. And I don't think I was good enough to know how on ATVs.
Gotcha.
I know where my boundaries are.
Also, taking the selfie video while driving. Maybe
Perhaps
low
not
RPMs.
A low RPM. All right, how much? There's a lot to talk to you about, but it's very difficult to disconnect your career from our colleague and your Hall of Fame dad, Howie, your brother Chris. How much did growing up in that house prepare you for the career you had?
It was always normal to me to have the family members I did, so I knew no other way. And unbeknownst to me, it had prepared me from a very young age for the job that I chose as my primary source of income, which is football. And I don't know if I chose football, but it chose me, and I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to play such an amazing game and to have a tremendous support system in my dad, my mom, and my brothers. And yeah, I'm just lucky to play football. And now that I'm done, I have no regrets. I'm at peace with it, man. Like, I sleep well at night, and I'm so lucky to have played football. And I think anybody who's played the game can speak to that.
Kyle, I had a conversation with your dad a couple months ago because I was FaceTiming I have 2 little girls, a 4 and a 6-year-old, and I was like, be good, don't hit each other. And I got off, and I was just sitting there, and he goes, do you have any idea what our household was like? Do you have any idea? It was like animals that I was trying to contain at all times. Just give me a peek into what it was like when you guys were growing up.
Well, the one thing that was always off limits was mom. Like, you don't backtalk mom because, she runs the whole house.
Sure.
And most of the fights were between me and my brothers, and it was never like we were angry at each other, but it was like we were playing basketball, you fouled me, you didn't let me get the ball back at the top of the key. We got to handle this right now before the next possession. And if we don't, I'm just going to bust you over and over on this court.
And pretty famously, you guys broke a table. You guys, there were a living room table or a coffee table.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of
broken furniture
stuff, so I wouldn't be able to be specific with the.
You're gonna have to tell what year and what model of the table.
It's we were lucky. My parents were smart enough to get dense furniture, and they had the foresight to be like, we don't want nice stuff that breaks easily. And so a lot of it was just thick wood, and yeah, they were smart. They were smarter than I thought growing up, and now in retrospect, it's great. They did things the right way.
You've had the luxury of playing 7 years with one organization. You make this decision to shut it down. What goes into that process? A lot of people don't understand players, if you will, as dads, brothers, siblings, friends, because they don't get to see that aspect of us off the field. But you care a lot about that. You're talking about your family. What played into your decision to say, you know what, I'm good, I'm done, I had my time, I get to walk away now?
I think it started in 2015. I blew out my ankle in Tampa Bay. I had been to 3 straight Pro Bowls, and I knew that when you have a significant injury like that, you're never going to be the same. And I had done things in my first 3 years that I could look back on and say not many guys could do that. And I was at peace with that. And, I'm still going to show up and give 110 and be loyal to the Bears. And I did that for the last 4 years, but I was on IR the last 4 years. The Bears did right by me by not releasing me. I was there through 3 coaching regimes, 4 O-line coaches, 4 offensive coordinators. I blocked for 12 quarterbacks. They don't forget that. While I forget that because you have to have amnesia in sport, they don't forget that. And they did right by me, and that's why I'll never wear another color other than navy and orange, because I'm a Bear for life. They did me right, and I would like to end it amicably and be involved with the Bears somehow, whether it's with the media or player development. There's a lot to be done in the league, and you don't have to be wearing a helmet to help.
Wow, that's one hell of an answer.
Yeah, it is.
You mentioned you blocked for 12 quarterbacks, the most recent.
That's a rough estimate.
Yeah, right, thereabouts.
Maybe
a dozen
30.
or so. Yeah, something like that. All right, it's difficult to have a conversation about the Bears without talking about the quarterback, without talking about Mitch. And Mitch, it's not his fault. Mitch is tied to Patrick Mahomes. It's a little revisionist history because people didn't see this coming. Also tied to Deshaun Watson. People maybe did see that coming given what he did in college. Is Mitch good enough to get the Bears where they're trying to go?
You know what? I was asked this question last week. Can the Bears win with Mitch Trubisky? And I said, yes, they have done that before. But that's, at the end of the day, complementary football. No one player can win the game for a team. It starts up front on both sides of the ball. And I'll be the first person to say I didn't protect Mitch. I didn't block for the running game. And there's 4 other guys who would say the same thing, that they did not do as well as they would like. And that's the only unit I can speak to, is the offensive line room. The defense, we didn't help them out. We didn't keep them off the field, keep them fresh. You got to sustain drives in this league. As you see, the teams that are in the Super Bowl are the teams that do really well on offense and have a great front 7 on both sides of the ball. Keep your defense fresh, run the ball well, and it gives your defense an opportunity to rest up, and then it gives your opportunity to the quarterback to have great success.
What type of guy is he?
He's a dude. I mean, he would be the guy when I'm done here at, whatever time I'm done this afternoon, I'd give him a call. I'd say, let's go get food. We'd love to see you. He's a good guy. He's somebody I'll keep in contact with, and I wish nothing but the best for him, and I hope they bring in the right guys to block for him.
Please go into TV after this. You're really quite good at answering questions.
Thank you.
Let's just talk about Patrick Mahomes. You've had a moment, a brief one, but a moment to step back from football and ride ATVs in Costa Rica, I think. When looking back at this season and the last season, is Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback in the league right now when you watch him play?
Well, as I alluded to in my last answer, I'm an offensive lineman, so I know my limits in terms of evaluation. Is he one of the most fun people to watch in the NFL? Without a doubt. Is he one of the most talented? Absolutely. But again, I don't know enough about the quarterback position to really talk about what he sees in coverages, but obviously the guy wins, and it's a bottom line business. So Patrick Mahomes, he might be the best quarterback in the league.
Well, then let's talk about something you do know about, the movie Broken Arrow.
Tremendous.
Why?
Got robbed in awards, by the way.
Okay, so tell me why. I mean, listen, if people don't know the plot lines, it's a broken arrow.
Well, Hollywood is, you got to be in there forever.
Which means there's a nuclear bomb that's... Yeah, go. So
Broken Arrow is essentially, because I've had to explain this to my buddies, it's when a nuclear weapon goes missing.
Yeah, AWOL.
That they were, transferring or whatever, which I guess happens all the time.
Yep.
And I guess my dad went from a good guy with the U.S. military to John Travolta convinced him otherwise, and he was now Travolta's henchman. And this was the early '90s. I remember being on set there.
I mean, you were on set?
Yeah, as a kid, we were like hiding behind rocks with the earplugs in, and they're shooting blanks and stuff. it was a really cool experience. You know, my dad is a superhero to me. Like not just a football player. This dude has been on anything I can remember. He's been a part of, and he's so humble. And it's so cool to be able to call him dad. I mean, he's a superhero, man. Like,
look, your dad obviously passed along so much. The football, good looks, if I may. Obviously, there's one thing that there's. Is that your choice?
I guess
I'm trying to be nice
from
about
a genetic standpoint.
Yeah, talk to us about that.
I would say that God only made a few perfect heads, and the rest he gave hair to.
Oh, you're waiting for it.
That's well done.
It.
Well, I get that question a lot because people are like, "Your dad's got this great head of hair." Well, honestly, my mother's brother Virgilio passed away not too long ago, but he had the cul-de-sac like I rock, and so it's my testament, and my shout out to Uncle Jiggy.
I like it.
So putting the focus back on this week, this game, the team representing the NFC, 49ers, they have a tremendous pass rush. You blocked as an offensive lineman for a long time in this league. How challenging is it to know you have 5 guys essentially, that you have to fight with? I mean, you do this all the time, but elite guys that you got to go up against and
they really want to fight you, these guys in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. They do.
What does that mean?
They're not there to play the game. I mean, every coach has told us preseason's going to be one speed, regular season's going to be another speed, and it's going to ratchet up. And you'll think that's all you have, and then you'll get to the playoffs, and you'll find a new breed of competitor. And I never got to go past the wild card week, but I can imagine, and I saw it crank up, that it would ratchet up again and again. And I think the 49ers are built for that up front. And as an offensive lineman, when you go play a team like the Texans or the Steelers, you're worried about TJ or JJ. But when you go play a team like San Francisco, there may be guys on that roster, on that depth chart, you don't even know their name, and they're coming out there and they're going to try to take your soul. And those are the defenses you don't want to play against. And if you're a competitor, you do want to play against them.
You went against one every day in practice.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just everyone.
And I was worried about one guy, Akeem Hicks. I couldn't see past him, but yes. And when you're in film after practice, you get to witness everybody's problem from that play. I may have had a problem on that play, but I'm not the only guy because they're studs across the ball. They get paid too. Mm-hmm. That's another line offensive line coaches say.
So listen, I know you stay within yourself, your offensive lineman, but you also said you might go into media, so I want to make you do something. Make a pick. Who you got?
I'm going to pick the 49ers. It's, for me, the front seven wins games. Obviously, the quarterback position's huge, and people are forgetting that Jimmy G is the quarterback in San Francisco. I think it'll be fun to watch first rounders rotate in and out from the defensive line. I think San Francisco built up front on both bookends for pass protection. I think McGlinchey and Staley are two of the best in the league, and McGlinchey doesn't get enough love, but I think that San Francisco is built for the long haul.
Good stuff. All right, Kyle, you're here with Gillette and Walgreens. Tell us a little bit about how you're partnering with them.
Yeah, well, Gillette and Walgreens have decided to work with me, and it's been great because the theme has been taking care of myself and rejuvenating and finding out who I am off the field. I don't wear a helmet, so I have to have my beard clean and my head shaved the right way, and Walgreens and Gillette makes that possible. Skincare is a big thing. And this February, they do buy one, get one 50% off for select shave care products at Walgreens. So make sure you go to walgreens.com or your local Walgreens. Check that out. You can get a coupon for a $4 razor. And as you know, if you're a bald guy like me, those things.
I feel like you got to lather
those things
up
are
your
nice.
head, man.
Don't do it, Nick.
I feel like no, I'm not going to do it. I feel like you got.
Walgreens has been great.
Okay.
Make sure you go on down there and check out the great deals they had through the month.
That was a
Good
real punch.
stuff.
That was
That was great.
Thanks.
Congratulations on such a great career.
Thank you.
Enjoy this time
Whatever
away
the
from
next
football.
career is,
Yes.
you're going to be great at it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Great at it.
For sure.
I appreciate it.
Down here in Miami Beach, first things first, all week long, getting ready for Super Bowl 54. Not a bad setting to preview the big game, and joining us to help us do that, four-time Pro Bowler and Fox NFL analyst Michael Vick. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
And Michael, you saw right over your left shoulder, you got a Michael Vick jersey, if I'm not mistaken.
I noticed that on the walk-in.
Yeah, we got a great crowd
Thank
today.
you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's still surfacing around here. It's still around.
All right, Mike, let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's taken a little bit of criticism for his less than stellar playoff numbers thus far. Niners, though, haven't had to lean on him that much this season. However, his head coach, Kyle Shanahan, believes in his quarterback and did come to his defense yesterday. Take a listen.
When we've needed him to bring us back at the end of games, he's done it. I've never been a part of a game where a quarterback completes 2 3rd and 16s on a final drive to beat the Rams like he did, what he did in that first Arizona game. I think it was a 3rd and 16 also to get us back on the last drive. The second Arizona game, throwing to get back in that game. I mean, people just got to watch the whole season and they'll realize that that's not at all the case.
Michael, there's a lot of back and forth on Jimmy Garoppolo, how good he really is, how much the team has really leaned on him and basically leaned on the run game. What do you make of what Kyle Shanahan had to say?
I like the fact that he's defending his quarterback. I think he's seen him in enough pressure situations throughout the season, from the beginning of the season, from training camp, mini camps, getting involved and putting himself in a position where he had to bring his team back at numerous times this season when people questioned, could he do it? I thought Jimmy G was stellar. I thought he did everything necessary that a quarterback needed to do. And he's earned every dime that he's made this season. And I couldn't be more happy for the guy. I think he's in a position where he can possibly win a championship, and that speaks for itself. Cal defending this quarterback is something that he has to do at this point in time because these accomplishments don't come easy. And if I was a coach and I watch my guy and I know what he can produce and I know what he brings to the table, I'm going to stand tall for him as well. So, I think this is a perfect marriage. The combination between Jimmy G and Cal is going to stand for a long time. So, get used to it. They're here to stay.
When you're a quarterback, especially if there's some discussion surrounding are you the strength of the team? Are you the weakness of the team? Are you, just a passenger on the ride? How much of that do you hear, and how important is it to hear your coach in a game after where you only threw the ball 8 times saying, no, he is not one of the reasons just that we got here, but one of the reasons we can win this game?
8 times, Michael.
8 times. And look, as a quarterback, that's a quarterback's dream, to be able to not have to have the pressure of going out and doing everything on your own. You can hand the ball off to several running backs who can get it done. I think that speaks volume. And then to hear your coach go to bat for you makes you want to play hard. And these guys know each other well. They prep together, they game plan together. And if Jimmy G shows that he understands what the offense needs to look like on Sunday, Monday, or Thursdays, and he go out and execute, then Kyle is going to always go to bat for him and understand, like, this is my guy. We know he can get it done whenever we need him to get it done, and feel good about going into a game.
Yeah, I love the comments. It's something that needed to be said. When you're a quarterback and you've gotten your team in this position, like Jimmy G has, you need to be reassured after hearing so much things that in-house, we still with you, even though he knows that. But what he's done this year is very, very resemblant of a rookie Dak Prescott season.
Oh,
where
that's a great comp.
You look at Dak Prescott in that first season, and it was all Ezekiel Elliott, that offensive line. They were really, now defensively, completely different.
He didn't have to do a lot.
He didn't have to do a lot.
The raw numbers were impressive.
29 touchdowns to Garoppolo's 26 or 27. Like, their numbers are pretty comparable. 3,900 yards. Dak Prescott had 3,600.
The difference was the expectations. The expectations on Jimmy Garoppolo, you've already paid the guy over $100 million. On Dak, he wasn't even a first-round pick, so does that weigh and factor into it as well?
It weighs in, but you got to look. This was a 4-12 team. This was a 4-12. We weren't even thinking that the expectations weren't Super Bowl this year. This is what they were afforded because insert Jimmy Garoppolo, and now team morale is different. Team morale is different. The guys that what Vick is talking about, Kyle Shanahan created this offense based on Jimmy Garoppolo. He saw him. He knows what his body of work is throughout the week in practice. I need my guy. My guys need their guy. and we will be okay. They understood that. They stuck with their guns, and this is why they're in that position.
And you think about how many times we've seen Jimmy G in pressure situations come through this year. I can't think of a time where I watched them and said, the onus is on Jimmy G. This loss was on him. They did not win because he did not perform. He performed on multiple occasions, and it's 16 weeks in the season plus the postseason. If a quarterback gives you 13 good games and 3 games where it's just average, he's done his job.
I want to pull on your experience again, because we see so much of the NFL is situational as far as, are you put in the best position to succeed? Early in your career in Atlanta, it felt from afar, and you might disagree with this, that the offensive game plan was Michael figured out, like, right. You know what I mean, that it was your raw talent.
The human joystick.
Right, all of it.
Yeah.
Then you're in Philly. You become the starter. I would imagine it was almost so this is how the other half lives. When you saw the Andy Reid game plans and the things that were easy throws to start games, things to get you in a rhythm. Do I have that right? And is that what Jimmy Garoppolo is taking advantage of with Kyle Shanahan?
You got it right. You got it right. In the sense, what I think about the transformation from the Atlanta Falcons to the Philadelphia Eagles is that coaches make players also. And then I fell into the hands of a guy who knew how to coach me and put me on the field and make me successful. Same thing with Jimmy G. He has a coach who knows about offense, worked with Matt Ryan, worked with some of the best in the game, from the Redskins to Atlanta. He's had nothing but success. And Jimmy G has gotten lucky. You know, as a quarterback, this is what you want. You want to be in this situation where you know your coach is one of the best in the league. I don't have to go out and do as much. The pressure's off me. I just have to do my job and keep it moving.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan is probably the best thing that happened to Jimmy Garoppolo, especially this season. All right, before we head to break, we are going viral. Patrick Mahomes and the aforementioned Jimmy G will look to carry their teams to a Super Bowl 54 win. But Michael Vick, you think you could still play at a high level? Take a listen.
Put your camera on, man. Got you. I'm sitting my man right here telling me I can't come back and do it if I ain't want to. Man, I got the drop in the driveway. Woo, man. Woo!
What was going on?
That's a super slow drop, I tell you. I think my back was aching after that. Listen.
You know what I miss almost more than anything about you? We don't have any lefties left.
There's no lefties in there.
Just Tua. You got to get with Tua. He's going to be here tomorrow. You got to get with him because it's a very close-knit, it's got to be a small fraternity of lefty NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, Tua will be the next one. And what I like about him is he throws a finesse ball. He throws an easy catchable ball. I'm pretty sure, Greg, you can't attest to that playing with Aaron Rodgers for your entire career, catching the fastballs. But this guy's going to come in and he's going to make waves in the National Football League. Of course, hopefully he falls in the right situation, but I'm excited for another lefty to be coming into the NFL.
Jarvis Landry joining us this morning.
Good to see you again.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for coming on. I'm going to move forward.
How are you doing, Jarvis? Good to see you.
Bless. My guy.
Do we need to make introductions, Nick? He probably knows everybody.
Well, we're good.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Come hang out, spend a little time with us. But we're going to get to all things Browns and football. But first, I want to start with why you're here. The MSC's Cruise Super Coral Play campaign. Tell us a little bit about that.
Just something that we partner with to help raise awareness about Super Coral and what it means to our kids' future, to us, to the environment.
So for you, you're here. You got a lot going on. You guys just finished the season. I know it was not team-wise the level of success you expected. Well, if you had to drill it down to one thing, where and why do you think it went the way it did?
Just communication. I think a lot of it was just communication, being on the same page. Whether it's from the standpoint of quarterback to receiver or coach to players. We just didn't have a great sense of communication.
Okay, you know what? I'm just going to be honest. Your microphone pack fell off, so I'm just going to stick it behind you there, not to be awkward at all. I want to make sure I can still hear you. I can see that cutting out.
Jarvis, I wanted to ask you, everything is new for you right now, but Coach Kevin Stefanski coming in. Have you had a chance to talk with him and see, what this new offense is going to look like and what your role is going to be?
Yeah, I've talked to him briefly, and a lot of our talks have just kind of been from the standpoint of let's just get ready to work. Get guys back healthy. And get ready to work. No really plan about who's going to be calling the plays or what the system is going to totally look like. Right. But Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and Delvin Cook, they found a way to survive and coexist. Right. So I'm excited to see what we can do.
I know Odell just got out of surgery. Have you spoken to him?
Yeah, I have.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's recovering. He's healthy, so he's getting healthy. So
how much? Just real quick, you mentioned the getting healthy. And at the end of the year, we have the ability to look at how many games were lost due to injury. Like this starting player missed 8 games. What we don't always have the ability to do is how many guys were playing injured throughout the year. How many guys got banged or got nicked up? Football players, so you don't talk about it. Right. And I do wonder for you guys how frustrating or how tough that is to know, well, we might be out there, but we're not 100%, but we're evaluated as if we are.
Yeah. It's very tough, and in the league, it's 100% rate. At some point throughout the season, you're gonna get hurt. And the tough part, for myself, for Odell, and a lot of guys around the league, when you go into the season hurt, you don't have that same confidence. You don't have the same, ability, even though it looks like it, even though you can show a flash here and there. It's the consistent basis of trying to do that. And that was tough for myself, for him, and, for other guys around the league. But we found a way to push through it.
I want to focus on something else because a lot of people, I've been in the locker room with you your second year in the league. I know the passion you play this game with, and I know how much you just want to compete and win. Talk about that. How misunderstood are receivers like yourself, like your brother, OBJ, when all it is I just want to win. When you're showing that passion, that drive, that enthusiasm, all that work, people don't see all of that. They see kind of what we consider to be, or we classify as antics. Talk to that.
I mean, it's really that. I've just always grown up to be the type of competitor that I felt like if the ball was in my hands, or I had an opportunity to make a play, the chances of us winning increases. And when you got guys around you that feel the same way, you tend to see that a lot. And no offense, but everyone on the other side kind of sees it as being a prima donna, or sees it as being selfish, or not a team player. But in essence, it's all really about winning. There's drives in games where 3 or 4 possessions go by and the ball hasn't touched one of our hands. At that point, it's okay, how do we get involved? How do we talk to coach? How do we communicate that we can help?
Do you think Baker Mayfield took some unfair criticism this season? A lot of people towards the end of your season were pointing fingers. This is why, whether it was the coaching or a lot of it was on the quarterback. Did he take some unfair criticism?
Yeah, I'm sure, but I'm sure he'll be the first to tell you too. He didn't really play his best this year. Obviously coming into his second year and still really learning the new system, but trying to make the transition from last year. And we had to do a better job as receivers. Making plays out there. I know I was in a lot of situations this year where I could have made a play or knocked the ball down and stopped it from getting intercepted, and I didn't. So. It's things that we could have done on our end to help out.
But why do you think for Baker it went the way it did? Because he was so sensational his rookie season. You guys add Odell. What do you think was the biggest reason that instead of taking a leap in year 2, he regressed a bit, now has to look to that leap in year 3?
Again, I say the first thing I said, it comes down to communication.
What does that mean?
Just from the standpoint of, installing the offense, making sure that the details are there. As these two guys kind of tell you, being a quarterback and a receiver, you have to be on the same page, even if it's body language, even if it's eye contact. Those little things are very important.
What are the things that you're going to work on personally this offseason to make yourself better and to assure that Baker has a better chance at, being productive within the offense with you, OBJ, and the rest of the receivers?
First starts with getting healthy. It starts with getting healthy, and from there, spending as much time with each other as possible. Learning the new system, learning what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. I think that's the biggest thing. Trying to figure out our identity.
Spending time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's the best LSU wide receiver duo ever?
Man, I tell you what, those boys had a hell of a year, man.
Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase were pretty damn special now.
They were special. You cannot take and he took the national championship home with him. So
yeah, they did.
All right, but let me follow up. If you and Odell, with no disrespect to your guys' quarterback, if you guys had the number 1 pick of the draft, Joe Burrow, and an offense where you're going to throw the ball 60 touchdowns, what would you guys have looked like?
We would look damn good. We would look damn good. But you know, in our system at that time, you know, we had 5 or 6 running backs. You know, we wasn't really built on throwing the ball. We just some kind of way found 2 receivers. Yeah.
I will say this really quick. People become enamored with Odell Beckham and all the catches that he made. We don't understand, and most people haven't had the opportunity to really see you work because you were down here for a majority of your season with your career with Miami, losing season, not really on TV and televised. Your ability to catch the ball, I will say this in front of everyone.
As a receiver,
is one of the best I've ever seen. Like, look at his hands.
I'm paying attention.
Look at his hands. People don't understand. This man practices catching the ball one-handed, just ridiculous stuff. Some of the things that happens in practice. Man, keep working, keep grinding. I've always loved the way you went about business and keep that passion. I've told you that. You stood in front of the team one time and said, this is all you got. And you see it every time you're on that football field. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Keep it.
Best of the best.
For you, go ahead, Jenna.
Is it hard as a player down here when you're friends, or you probably know a lot of the guys that are playing on both teams, to have a rooting interest or in one or the other if you never played for them?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. You know, I mean, Tyrann Mathieu is one of the guys that, you know, I love to death. You know, a lot of my style, a lot of the attitude about the game and the competitiveness has come from him, just watching him play and competing against him at LSU. And then you go to the other side, you got guys like Sherman, Godwin, you know, those guys that, you know, I grew up watching and seeing, you know, Sherman lock guys down, and now I'm across from Sherman, running routes against Sherman, and, you know, it's going to be a hell of a game.
So that being said, do you have a pick for us?
I really like San Francisco's defense. I want my...
It's so hard.
It's a tricky question.
We got 10 seconds. Give us a pick. Come on.
No pressure.
Man.
Here we go.
I don't know, my LSU boy, man, the Honey Badger, I got to see him.
My guy. Good luck next year, Jarvis.
Thank you,
Jarvis Landry, thank you so much.
See you guys.
That's it for us, everyone. Thank you for listening to the First Things First podcast. Remember, leave us a review and tell us what you think. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and catch us on FS1 Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern.